This is Matt Hurt at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter.
This is Tiny at Obsessive Tiny on Twitter.
And this is ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer. We're a weekly movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be it genre, trope, movie, or show, each episode. I don't know why I said it like that.
I don't know either.
Anyway, you can find back episodes of the podcast at ovpodcast.com. You can find the blog at obsessiveviewer.com. And you can also join our Facebook group for up-to-date discussions or to stay current with our discussions and answer poll questions and interact with each other and everything. That's at on Facebook. There's a link in the show notes. Just type in Obsessive Viewer Podcast Group and you should find it. And also, if you like what you hear and want to support the podcast, please head over to iTunes and leave a rating and review. The more ratings and reviews we get, the easier it will be for people to find the show in iTunes' search results. And if you want to show your support with your wallet, you can do that by clicking the donate button on obsessiveviewer.com for a one-time donation, or by clicking the donate link in the show notes of this episode. You can also become a patron at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer, where you can choose from several different reward tiers for recurring donations each month. Any donations made will help pay the fees to keep the podcast running so we can continue to provide you with our weekly podcast ramblings. And finally, tickets are on sale for Shocktober and Irvington 3. Those are available at shocktoberandirvington.com. Later in this episode, you'll hear a radio promo for it, courtesy of J.P. Leck, one of the filmmakers who is going to be premiering his short film, The Roman, at Shocktober in Irvington. For those who don't know, Shocktober in Irvington is a one-night event screening of short horror films from local filmmakers here in Indianapolis. And as an added bonus for listeners of the podcast, you can get $1 off the price of admission when you use the promo code podcast1 when you buy your tickets. Again, more information is at shocktoberandirvington.com. Whew, so Tiny, how's it going?
Delightful.
Nice. We did not record last week.
We didn't. I bought a new car.
You did. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you want to tell the listeners of my brilliant joke from like a moment ago?
I mean, you just have so many. I can't keep them all.
That's the right answer.
Straight, so you got to be more specific. I don't know which one you're talking about.
So the picture that Tiny posted, or the Tiny's fiance posted of them with a car, showed them in front of the Toyota Scion dealership that had the name Scion on the building. Mm-hmm. So I asked Tiny, how did I phrase that, Tiny? Do you?
You know, it was so good I can't even remember.
And it was like 10 minutes ago, so that's how you know it was that good. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Anyway, I said that's a pretty nice sign on that building there. Because it says Scion
sure did.
on the building. Anyway, so this week on
your Snowden joke was better.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Let's do a recreation. Okay. Reenactment.
Okay.
Do you have Snowden on your list?
No, I do not.
It was more natural than that, though.
It was much more natural and much less cocky.
That's what made it better.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what Tiny's alluding to here is that we are going to be discussing fall 2016 movies. It's basically our fall 2016 movie preview episode / movies. The rest of movies movies that are still set to come out in 2016 that we're looking forward to.
Yes.
And so we have several on the list. Usually we do like a news segment, but we're just going to kind of forego that because we have a lot of movies on this list, and I haven't checked out much news lately. So anyway, before we get to the actual review and everything, I just want to say apologies for not having an episode out last week. We did plan on having this episode recorded and released last week, but we just didn't have time and our schedules conflicted. And also, I think that here sometime soon we'll have to do the Summer Movie Challenge wrap-up episode.
Oh, yeah, we do need to do that.
Yeah, I need to set aside time to tally up the results and everything.
Right.
And have just huge egg on my face for how wrong I probably was on all of the picks.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's forthcoming. So, Tiny, let's get to talking about the main topic, about fall 2016 movies. Before we actually do that, I guess, how do you feel this year in movies has been so far up to this point?
It's been okay. This summer was a little lacking, a little lackadaisical. I feel like we've said that a couple years in a row now, which is kind of, maybe we're just becoming less sensitive or more sensitive to it, and it takes more to get us excited. I don't know. But
more critical, I guess.
More critical, yeah. But in
higher standards.
In our defense, we did have Batman versus Superman this year.
That's true. That's true. And Suicide Squad.
Yeah. Which I haven't seen yet.
You saw it too. That's right.
But yeah, I feel like the summer was a little bit lacking, so I'm relying on a good fall to kind of redeem 2016.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm kind of the same way. It's funny because I was really excited about having a year's worth of Movie Pass this year. So I've seen a very high amount of movies this year in theaters, and I don't regret it because there's a lot of great movies that I've seen, and a lot of movies that I would not have sought out had I not had Movie Pass. But still, in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of, I was left feeling so far this year. I've left the theater less enthused about what I've seen than more times than in years past, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like, I don't know. It's just kind of been kind of average for me.
Yeah.
But
mixed
we'll talk.
bag.
Yeah, exactly, a mixed bag, and we'll talk more about that when we do our movie wrap up episode, 2016 wrap up episode in January. So we have a list of 3, 6, 9, 12. We have a list of, I can't count, 15 movies that we're going to kind of run through in this episode. So we're just going to kind of dive right in. Tiny, do you mind if I get us kicked off here?
Go for it.
Okay, so I believe I've talked about this previously on the podcast. I don't remember when, but Blair Witch. It actually comes out here in like a week or two, I think. It's this is a movie that I'm not highly anticipating, but I'm looking forward to it quite a bit. If only because it's, I don't know, I'm just a sucker for this type of horror movie, and I hope that it can kind of, like, every time I've seen Blair Witch Project in years past, with the rise of found footage movies and then the fall of found footage movies, and this type of storytelling, as much as I've seen of it, both the genre and repeat viewings of the Blair Witch Project have kind of hit a point of diminishing returns. I've reached a point where I'm just not that impressed with the Blair Witch Project as a standalone movie these days. I used to kind of revere it for its effectiveness and the cleverness that it took, and the cleverness of the marketing and the lore of it and everything. But the more I see, it's just the more I'm just really disappointed with just the performance. That the actors are like, they're all, I mean, obviously they're all like college kids, and they're not technically professional actors,
right? And
they're not being directed conventionally, so it's there's a little bit of a thing there, but the characters themselves are just really obnoxious and annoying. So it's kind of, it hits a point where it's just kind of disappointing to go back and revisit it. So I'm kind of hoping that the lore and mythology and the spirit of the Blair Witch Project can be kind of reappropriated to this movie. So I'm looking forward to it. Tony, what do you think?
Yeah, that's cool. I know you're a fan of the original movie and everything, and I really respect the original movie. I think I thought it was an incredible work of artistry. I like the movie. But this new one's not really, it's on my radar, but it's a distant blip. I'll put it that way.
Sure.
Not especially excited for it. Seems kind of cash grabby to me. We'll see. I definitely won't go to the theater for it.
Interesting. Yeah. Even though it's made by Adam Wingard. Were you a fan of it? I can't remember. You were a fan of The Guest, right?
Sorta.
Okay.
I thought the guest was okay. I thought it had its moments.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did talk about Blair Witch on the San Diego Comic-Con episode that I did with Fecus. So that's the episode.
Okay.
So that's my first pick. There's really not much more to it. I've been kind of trying to avoid the trailers as much as I can. I've seen the trailer, so I know a lot about it, which gives away what looks like most of the plot, but we'll see.
Yep.
Tiny, what's your first one?
Also coming out in September is the movie Other People. This time of year is kind of where studios roll out the Oscar bait movies, and this movie kind of looks like an Oscar bait movie to me, which can be a bit of a misnomer or misrepresentative, or maybe like even a derogatory thing to say. That they just put this out at this time just to get the attention of the Academy, and they're just trying to get one person nominated for one thing or whatever. I don't necessarily think Other People has that stigma around it, but I hope the Oscars pay attention to this. For those who don't know, it's a movie about a young guy who moves home to Sacramento to help take care of his sick mother. What excited me the most for this movie is just the cast. Jesse Plemons, who we have admired up and down this podcast for his various roles, is playing the lead in this movie. And just that right there, I'm very excited for, because I think he, without question, can carry a film as a leading man. I'm not even worried about that. But I just really hope that the general public and the people who see this movie accept him as a leading guy and take notice of his remarkable acting skills. So I really hope Jesse Plemons shines in this movie. I think the Oscar bait's going to come in with another member of the cast, Molly Shannon, who you probably haven't even thought about in 5 years, which is a harsh thing to say, but she's really hasn't had a career lately. She looks like she really turns in both a deeply dramatic performance in this and also a hysterical, funny comedic turn as well. It seems like a very mixed performance that way, and I think that's rife for awards recognition. So I think the Oscar could come through her, but we'll see. You never know. Who knows? It also has Bradley Whitford in it. Maude Apatow, Judd Apatow's daughter, also in it. A few other notable actors. So I'm looking forward to this movie. We watched the trailer for it. I think it's going to be really good, and I hope people see it.
Me too. And I before I saw the trailer for it, I'd seen the poster around, and it kind of has a
generic,
very generic
poster.
That's the perfect word for it. It just has a very generic kind of poster that doesn't show anything about what type of movie it is. So going into the trailer, I didn't really know what to expect, and it just looks like it looks like the perfect type of movie. Like it seems like the perfect type of movie that I'm attracted to. Like it kind of has this indie drama feel with certain casting, not stunt casting, but certain casting that appeals to comedic sensibilities to kind of give that levity to the heaviness of the performance. It kind of seems like kind of an actor's movie in a certain respect, and also it looks like it could have room for some improvisational comedy. I don't know if improv had anything to do with it or if they did anything, but it kind of had this kind of energy to it that made me think of comedy, but in a very serious context. So I think it could be, if it's done well, and the trailer makes it look like it is done well. It looks like it could be really, really incredible.
Agreed.
Yep.
What do you got next, Matt?
Up next, I have, and this is kind of tentative. I don't know. So it's Deepwater Horizon, and this is the, I want to say, second Peter Berg and Mark Wahlberg joint, and after Lone Survivor, which, okay, so I really didn't like Lone Survivor. I'm a huge fan of Peter Berg's work, at least with Friday Night Lights, the movie. But I mean, everything after that is kind of, I mean, Battleship was Battleship. Then Lone Survivor was just not to my liking. It was I don't know, but Deepwater Horizon, when I see the trailers for it, it looks like it's just, the way it's shot looks kind of intense and looks like it's not going to shy away from the grisliness of the incident that it's portraying. But it also kind of has me somewhat hopeful that maybe this would be a return to form for Peter Berg, because it doesn't seem like it's a politically charged story. At least I hope it's not from a political angle.
Yeah.
It just looks like a kind of down-to-earth story about these men fighting to survive in this horrific scenario or situation. And I'm kind of hoping that I'm hoping that that's what it is at the end, because he does really well when he does these. Peter Berg does really well when he does these more not grounded, but more focused stories like that. With Lone Survivor, it seemed more like just not agenda pushing. Well, I don't know if it was agenda pushing or not. That may have been more just the audience feedback to it, or the audience reaction to it was more politically charged. But it seemed more like rah-rah, jingoistic, pro-military, kind of just like that type of story, while sacrificing character development and interesting characters and which is a horrible thing to say, because the characters are based on obviously real people who many of whom died, but it just seemed really rote from the really drive with in terms of actually developing these characters and making us care about them. And it seemed like there was just a really thin agenda being pushed to it. So I'm hoping that Deepwater Horizon, while I am hesitant of Peter Berg taking on a movie based on a true story, I am hesitant about that. I have expectations, because I like his work as a filmmaker, at least in past projects. So we'll see how he does.
Agreed. It's on my radar, and for a good reason. I also hope it's, to use your phrase, which I agree with, I hope it's a return to form for Pete Berg. I feel like he used to make movies like he had something to prove, like he had a chip on his shoulder. I feel like he used to make movies like that, and then it's like he had this switch in personality, and he's like, I proved myself, I'm going to make this movie now. Right. I'm going to do a battleship movie. Like, yeah. Really? You had to buy the rights from Hasbro? You sure you want to do that movie? I agree, and I agree with a lot of what you said about Lone Survivor. I think I liked it a little bit more than you, but sure. I still wouldn't give it too much praise. So I hope it's good as well. I think there's potential there. Only time's going to tell. We'll see.
Right, and you say that he seemed to direct with purpose, and I feel like that purpose was like he was driven to prove that Tim McGraw can act.
Yeah. But which he
can. Yeah, he proved his point. That's why he went on to do that's why Peter Berg set out to prove what he set out to do, but he also has in January. I don't know what this says about it. I don't know if this really bodes well for it. But he is also directing Patriots Day, which is about an account of Boston Police Commissioner Ed Davis's actions in the events leading up to the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing and the aftermath. Also featuring Mark Wahlberg. So
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that or why it was pushed back.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that even.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
But anyway, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. He directed The Kingdom, and I freaking loved that movie.
Yeah.
And it was, I wouldn't say that it was devoid of politics, but it was pretty politically, it wasn't an agenda push on his part from my memory of it.
Right.
So, I don't know. Hopefully he can, get back on his feet.
Agreed.
Yeah. Never saw Hancock, though, so.
Oh, you never saw Hancock?
I never did.
That's a cool movie.
Was it?
It was really fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sure. So, Tiny, why don't you bring us into October?
For me, the first movie in October I'm looking forward to is Jack Reacher, Never Go Back. Terrible subtitle. Calling the series Jack Reacher in general, I think that's just not a good idea.
Right.
But anyways, I digress. I loved the first Jack Reacher movie.
I remember that you loved it.
Despite everything about it. Tom Cruise, he just runs now. That's what he does. He never stops running in movies. And so, like, when I saw the trailers for the first Jack Reacher, I was like, what is that? Why are they, who decided to greenlight that? What is that? And then I saw it and I was like, holy shit, that was actually really good. And then I saw it like 7 more times. I just loved that movie. And, I think a lot of other people did too. I think it has a really concise story, and it's a little bit derivative in that we have a main character who's like can do anything. Mm-hmm. Like he's unbelievably intelligent. He can fight 7 people at once and kick all their asses. He is a remarkable marksman with a firearm. That's a bit ridiculous. Like those kinds of characters are a little played out. I think that's more of like a 90s action movie kind of thing. But for some reason it really worked, and I bought it in that movie, and I was able to put my biases aside, or like my opinions aside regarding that kind of character, and just enjoy what we were given. And I just really hope they can recapture that for a sequel. Sherbatsky's in this one.
That's right. She plays like an agent or something, because is he like framed for some murder or something?
That sounds right. Yeah, and she plays like a random government employee person. Mm-hmm. Kobe Smulders is who I'm talking about.
Right.
So her just based on what I see in the trailer, her character seems a little Deus Ex Machina-ish. But I'll withhold judgment until I see the movie. Like I said, I hope they can capture what the first movie had.
Sure.
But we'll see.
Or would you say that she seems like she's plot dependent?
Yeah.
Or something?
She's a cog. She seems like a cog in the movie machine.
Right.
To keep the plot driving.
Gotcha.
So.
And yeah, I liked Jack Reacher quite a bit. I remember I've only seen it once, and I remember that it was a post gallbladder surgery movie for me. So like I was tripping on Vicodin pretty hard. Yeah. No, I was on pain medicine and in and out of sleep. So I couldn't really pay that close attention to it, but I mean, Tom Cruise jumping around and beating people up, and then Werner Herzog popping up was, fun. But
it's random.
Yeah, but it's funny because, I agree that it does have this kind of 90s kind of action, indestructible action star quality to it. Mm-hmm. But, and granted, I haven't seen it in a while, but I would go so far as to say that, that kind of could be construed or seen as more of a nice throwback to that era of action movie.
Yeah.
So it wasn't to its detriment when I saw it because of that reason, essentially.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, do you mind if I go next?
Go for it.
Okay. My next one for October is The Birth of a Nation, which, I've been looking forward to this because, I heard some really good things, like really good buzz coming out of, I think Sundance earlier in the year. So I've been very curious about it. There's kind of a lot of, news surrounding it. I think it's Nate Parker is the writer, director, star. There was a whole thing about him, there was a rape allegation or a sexual assault allegation or something. I haven't followed it too closely, but there's a whole big hubbub over that. But in the end, the trailer looks good, and I think it could. I think it could be really good. It's another kind of really. It looks like another really raw look at slavery and in this case, the story of Nat Turner, which is very intriguing, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, the movie looks incredibly powerful and intense, and just like a earth-shaking kind of movie. And I'm looking forward to it myself. Yep.
I don't really have much else to say about it. Just I saw the trailer for the first time, and yeah, it looks really intense and really spectacularly shot. So we'll see how it goes.
Cool.
Tiny, what about your next one? I haven't seen the trailer for it, but I heard it when you played it on your phone next to me about an hour ago.
The next one up is In a Valley of Violence. It also comes out in October. This looks like it's a Western movie, but it seems like it has kind of a modern genre spin on it. Looks like it kind of has some comedy thrown in there. Kind of a doesn't fit into a box sort of movie. It has a pretty recognizable cast. Karen Gillan, who I'm a big fan of from Doctor Who. John Travolta, Ethan Hawke. It's just kind of an interesting cast of actors. I think I'm kind of very lukewarm on Ethan Hawke as of late. I think over the last 5 to 10 years, his career has had an odd trajectory, with a few exceptions here and there. But I think he's just kind of taken an odd turn with his career, and I'm not really excited about what he does. Really, sorry.
Have you? Sorry to interrupt here, but
cool.
Have you seen the movie Predestination?
No.
I think he's in it. I haven't seen it, but I've heard really good things about it. It's a time travel movie.
Oh, okay.
But
always game for the time travel.
Me too. Yeah, he is in it. It's from 2014. I might actually check it out at some point and get back to you guys. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
But yeah, like movies like The Purge and stuff. Like,
oh yeah.
What's he doing in those movies? I don't know.
Yeah.
He's done some goofy stuff. And then John Travolta speaks for himself. I forgot he still existed.
Right.
But I don't know. I think it looks like it looks like it has a bit of quirk to it. So I'm kind of excited for it for that reason. I'm kind of looking it seems like there's almost a bit of a comeback for Westerns, a little bit maybe. Don't want to get too excited, but it seems like it's a genre it's at least gaining a niche audience, as of late. Magnificent Seven movie coming out lately.
Which Ethan Hawke is also in.
Yes, he is also in there. I forgot about that. And, like 3:10 to Yuma, a handful of years ago. Great movie.
Yeah, so great.
So I want there to be good Westerns out there. I think it's a genre that still has a lot of potential. So I'm kind of, this is sort of an interesting pick. It's definitely on my radar, but I'm not like uber excited for it. I'm cautiously hoping that it's good. So, In a Valley of Violence, we'll see.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. I believe on the Feel and Film podcast, I think they talked about it. They didn't have an episode about it, but they just referenced it that it was, or they might have been on their social media. But anyway, somewhere someone mentioned that In a Valley of Violence was their favorite Western of the year so far, beating out Hell or High Water, which is a really good movie that I recommend checking out.
Cool.
But anyway, my next one is going to be kind of brief, more of a thing that I'm anticipating for the rest of the year. Heartland Film Festival. It starts at the end of October. And I'm really looking forward to going to that and doing the whole festival thing. So yeah, I'm excited for it.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't think they've announced any movies or anything yet, so there's not really much to say. Just I'm looking forward to it, and I'm hoping to do like a whole episode for it and all that.
It's always a good time. It's going to be great again this year.
Definitely.
Yep.
So bring us into November, Tiny.
Yes, kicking off November is the continuation of my Benedict Cumberboner, Doctor Strange, new Marvel movie, kind of a mysterious character that not a lot of people are familiar with. I think there's a lot of opportunity revolving around this movie, to make it really jump out to the mainstream audiences. We've talked so many times about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the potential for stagnation in that universe. And I'm hoping that Doctor Strange is a nice, shot of adrenaline to that franchise and that universe. It looks different from a lot of the other movies we've gotten from Marvel. And I hope it breaks the mold. I hope it's something different and it gets people excited again. I'm not saying, I'm saying this like a lot of people think that the movies suck now. I'm not saying that. I just feel like we kind of know what we're getting almost. It's
exactly,
I don't know. We've praised the Russo brothers up and down for their work with Captain America movies, and they're doing one of the Infinity War movies.
I think it's still that they're going to do both.
They're doing both.
I think so.
That's great news, and I'm really excited for that. And I think they're going to do a great job. But it's always good to mix it up and have something different and keep things interesting. And Doctor Strange has that feel to it. And Benedict Cumberbatch, one of my favorite actors, maybe my favorite actor working right now. Just he can almost do no wrong, and I'm a really, really big fan of his, and I'm glad to see him taking on a big role like this.
Same here, and I am also really looking forward to it. And also, and I mentioned this on the Comic-Con episode that I did with Fecus, but I'm really hopeful that Mads Mikkelsen will be a good villain, or they'll break that mold, and that's my main concern going into any Marvel movie, is that I want them to have a good villain. So hopefully Mads Mikkelsen isn't wasted in this movie.
And he is a villainous actor.
He is so great.
Great at playing an evil, crazy guy. For those who don't know, he played Le Chiffre in Casino Royale, the James Bond movie. He's
he's also Hannibal in Hannibal.
Yeah, is he Dutch?
He's something, all right.
Some kind of Nordic thing. America. I don't remember where he hails from. Great actor, though.
Yeah, totally.
Fantastic.
Despite us completely butchering his homeland.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He's from somewhere.
He is. Anyway.
Yeah, what do you got, Maddie?
I've got Manchester by the Sea.
I know nothing about this.
And it's funny you say that, Tiny, because I know next to nothing about it.
Really?
Yeah, so this is going to be really brief, and it's not... I haven't done my due diligence with it, but for a good reason. I remember around Sundance time, there was a lot of hype about this movie. I want to say that Amazon bought the distribution rights. That may be wrong. I'm going to actually check that, but it's got...
Interesting.
Yeah, it's got Casey Affleck and Kyle Chandler. And that alone is like, okay, got it.
Well, and Michelle Williams.
Oh, and Michelle Williams is in it too.
I mean,
yes,
she's amazing.
Oh yeah, we've lauded her since the inception of this podcast.
Yeah, she's incredible.
Absolutely. So let me actually check and see if I was right about Amazon. I don't think so. But yeah, I mean it was highly celebrated coming out of Sundance, and so yeah, it's definitely a movie that I'm very much looking forward to. And yeah, Amazon did have a role in getting the distribution rights.
Interesting.
The important thing is that it looks really good, or it sounds really good, or actually I haven't seen or heard much about it other than the buzz. So I'm intrigued by it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what it's got for us.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to stay in the clear as far as seeing promotional materials for it, because I rarely get to do that. I rarely get to go into a movie completely blind. So
yeah.
I've
heard of the buzz about it. That's about it. I really don't know much about it. I mean, I'm there because of Michelle Williams.
Me too.
She's amazing. So it's also written and directed by Kenneth Lonergan. He's most famous as a writer. He wrote Gangs of New York and Analyze This.
Oh, nice.
The movie Margaret from 2011 that I never saw but thought looked good. Yeah, so we'll see.
Sweet. So we don't really have much else to say about Manchester by the Sea, but Tiny, would you mind arriving to your next one on the list?
Oh boy, I would love to. It's called Arrival. The next movie is Arrival in November. Matt spoiled it. Arrival. It's this is probably top 3 anticipated movies for me, somewhere in there. I mean, it's up there. I'm really looking forward to this movie. I love the concept of extraterrestrial communication or contact. I love that opportunity to tell a story. I'm just very interested in science fiction, and just the idea of humans coming in contact with aliens is very intriguing to me. I think terrifying and exciting at the same time. And this looks like a very quality entry in that subgenre, if you will. Has a great cast with Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner and Forrest Whitaker. Really great cast, and looks very detailed and intense. I'm really looking forward to that movie. I'll definitely go see that one in the theater.
Right, and it's from Denis Villeneuve, right?
Yeah. Who's that? I'm kidding. I know that name, I just can't place it.
Yeah, he did Prisoners and Sicario.
That's right. Yeah. I haven't seen Sicario yet.
Yeah, and I wasn't that impressed with Sicario. I really wasn't. So, but I really appreciated just the style of it and a lot of the technical achievements of it. Most of that is due to Roger Deakins' cinematography.
Okay.
Who I just looked up, and he's not doing the cinematography for Arrival. But anyway, Arrival looks really cool, and I hope that it's up to my liking.
Nice. Me too.
Yep. And is there anything else to really talk about? I really liked the trailer of it.
Yeah.
I almost, when we were watching it, I almost turned it off like halfway through, because like there's a moment where they tease like what do they look like, the aliens, and I was like, I want to turn this off right now because I don't want to know. I want to go in and not know. So
right.
Yeah.
Looks very philosophical, and
it does.
I'm always interested.
Thought provoking and very
thought provoking.
Yeah. Very good. And you do have kind of a history of movies about extraterrestrials and communication, The Abyss, Close Encounters.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
E.T.
E.T.
scares the shit out of me to this day. You're welcome. Yeah, can't explain that one. It just does. Anyways,
right.
moving on.
All right, moving on. So the next one I have is, again, not really something I'm going to talk at length about, because I did talk about it with Fekis on the Comic-Con episode, which I'm quickly realizing is essentially the exact same as what we're doing now. So,
nice.
So sorry, listeners. But anyway, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. The first trailer wasn't too impressed by it, the first teaser, I should say. Also, just the idea of going back to the magic world of Harry Potter. I have this weird thing about returning to worlds and or stories, not stories necessarily, but universes after the story has been concluded. I had a lot of trouble latching on to Better Call Saul, because I just felt like, okay, the Breaking Bad story's done. I didn't have an appetite for the story of Saul Goodman. And much like that, I mean, the Hogwarts world and the story of the boy who lived, like that whole story is so contained in those movies that I feel like revisiting the Wizarding World, even if it is a prequel, I believe, and it's set on a different continent, and it's opening up a whole new area of the Wizarding World, I still find it hard to get excited about it, because it's still returning to something that's been closed or finished and concluded and has a conclusive thing, from my perspective. And that's the same with also The Hobbit, because that was also kind of like, I don't know, kind of returning to it. I was excited to return to it for the first one, but then that quickly faded. But having said all that whole preamble was to say that the trailers for Fantastic Beasts, after that initial trailer, or at least the one San Diego Comic-Con trailer I've seen, looks very fun and very interesting, and I'm curious to see how it fares.
I agree very much with what you said. Yeah, I'm hesitant to return to the world as well, to that universe. I feel like the Harry Potter films and books were just so detailed and just so conclusive at the end. It wrapped everything up in a pretty bow. As somber and wonderful as it was.
Right.
I'm just so attached to it emotionally that it's like, to see it represented in a different way is just so different and just almost off-putting. And that's really not fair. You know, it's a flaw in the viewer as opposed to the story. And so it's just hard to come back to those things. I'm trying to be excited about it. I'm definitely intrigued. I'm going to see it, and I'm probably going to like it. But I just doubt I'm going to love it the way that I did with Harry Potter movies.
Same here. Yeah. I'm really not getting my hopes up on it.
Yeah.
By any stretch.
Word.
So Tiny, this next one is I didn't look this up, and I'm not entirely sure I've heard the title yet. Do you want to bring us into your last November one?
I'd love to. To wrap up November is The Edge of 17. What really intrigues me about this movie, it's about a teenage girl who comes to her English teacher and says she's going to kill herself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. What really intrigues me about this is the cast, which is kind of almost silly. It stars Haley Steinfeld. Steinfeld. Boom, boom, boom.
Jesus.
It stars her and Woody Harrelson, and I've been excited or chomping at the bit to see Haley Steinfeld do something else because
Steinfeld.
Okay. I've been really excited to see her do something really good again because she was mind blowing in True Grit.
True Grit, yeah.
Which put her on the map. I mean, she was nominated for an Oscar at 14 years old, something like that.
Yeah.
She was incredible, and I was like, I cannot wait to see what she does next. I hope the Coens bring her back because they're my favorite filmmakers, arguably. And I feel like what she's done after that movie has been pretty unsatisfying. She was in the Ender's Game movie, and she was in the second
Pitch
Perfect movie. So I haven't been impressed with her choices, and I'm hoping that she really dives into this role, and I think it sounds like a pretty interesting story and something pretty unique. And Woody Harrelson's one of my favorite actors, without question.
Yeah.
So I always love to see him in something, and he seems kind of like his character in Zombieland. Just a little bit. Very devil may care and very abrasive and silly. He just has that appeal when he does these kind of characters, and he's just such a versatile actor. He can just do anything, and I'm just excited to see him share the screen with Haley. I can't wait. I think that's what I'm excited for with this movie.
Yeah, I remember there was something really funny about the trailer. Like, she says that she wants to kill herself, and then he goes into this whole thing where he's saying that, if I'm remembering it correctly, he was like, I'm actually sitting here writing my suicide note.
Yeah.
And just like the way that he deadpans, it's really funny and really great.
Right. And she says he reads part of her note, and he's like, I'm thinking about killing myself. And he looks up at her and he's like, you really need to be careful of run-on sentences or something like that.
Right.
I think it just seems great.
Right. Yeah.
Classic Harrelson.
So funny. But if you're itching for more Haley Steinfeld stuff, I would recommend checking out this movie called The Keeping Room. Have you seen that?
I have not.
Okay, it's on Netflix now, but it's kind of a Western about... I'm going to actually just go ahead and read the plot description since I have it up. Left without men in the dying days of the American Civil War, 3 women must fight to defend their home and themselves from 2 rogue soldiers who have broken off from the fast-approaching Union Army. It was pretty good. It was pretty solid. It's got Haley Steinfeld, Sam Worthington, Britt Marling...
Oh.
Yeah, so I think you'd get a lot out of it, Tiny.
I am adding it to my Netflix list right now.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah.
I did not mean for that to sound sarcastic.
Nice.
So anyway, yeah, so I'm curious about the the Edge of 17. It looks like kind of a fun, charming coming of age movie sort of movie. Stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and bring us into December with Office Christmas Party. Have you seen the trailers for that?
I feel like I have. It doesn't seem very memorable to me.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just something about, like, the cast is pretty solid. It's got Kate McKinnon, who's kind of flying high off of Ghostbusters, I'm sure, or riding that wave of stuff. It's also got TJ Miller, who's fantastic.
Yep.
Olivia Munn, it's got Jennifer Aniston, and Olivia Munn's okay, but anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jason Bateman. I mean, it's got a ton of people that I think altogether should be pretty good in this movie. Also, Randall Park, who he's fantastic. I need to watch Fresh Off the Boat, but anyway, it's got a lot of really good people in a solid cast, and it's got kind of, I mean, it's one of those like comedy movie premises that are like, it just seems like so straightforward that I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what it has in store, if that makes sense. So it's like, hey, what if an Office Christmas? Okay, let's take something that is, that a lot of people can relate to. Okay, office job, Christmas party, cool. Let's take that to the extreme and see what happens. Okay. And yeah, so I don't know even if it isn't that good, I still have The Office's season 2 episode, Christmas party, to go on. So
okay.
Anyway, that was a weird connection. Anyway, so yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Okay. And Tiny, what about you in December? What do you got?
Absolutely. To kick off December for me, I'm looking forward to a movie called Nocturnal Animals. I'm really, the first thing that caught my attention with this is that it stars Jake Gyllenhaal. He has just been on fire lately with his performances and the movies he's done over the last 5 years or so. I haven't seen Southpaw yet. I've heard mixed things.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that either.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I definitely need to see it, but regardless of how good or bad it is, it will not affect my current opinion of Jake Gyllenhaal. He is just banging on all cylinders, and I'm excited to see him in something again. But having looked into it, just a quick summary says, an art gallery owner is haunted by her ex-husband's novel, a violent thriller she interprets as a veiled threat and a symbolic revenge tale. The rest of the cast is also great. Amy Adams, really good. Michael Shannon, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Isla Fisher's in it. Armie Hammer, pretty impressive cast. Laura Linney, geez, wow, yeah, good cast. Michael Sheen, holy crap. Yeah, a really great cast, and it's written and directed by Tom Ford.
Yeah, I'm just looking him up now.
He's famous now for his clothing line. I mean, yeah, he's a clothes fashion designer.
Okay.
Really. But I mean, he wrote and directed the movie A Single Man in 2009, which is a really good movie.
I still never saw that. That's about a
it's about a man who's committing suicide.
Oh, okay. Is he a closeted homosexual who loses a boyfriend and is dealing with that grief?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Well, that was really detailed and specific.
It was.
You said it off the top of your head, but it was very specific. That was funny.
It's true.
Wow. Oh man, that's funny.
I'm gonna start doing that now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it started Colin Firth.
Yeah.
It's a really cool movie. Great idea for a movie. And it was great. I really liked that movie a lot.
Right. And for context, I was reading the plot description, and then I remembered that I'd heard people on another podcast talk about it a while ago. So
Gotcha. So Nocturnal Animals, again, very, I think, Oscar buzzy, just based on everyone involved in the story and everything. I'm very excited for that one.
The premise sounds like a solid foundation for a really effective thriller.
Absolutely.
So just judging from that, I am looking forward to it, and I am very curious about it. My last pick for December is the movie La La Land, which is Damien Chazelle's follow-up to Whiplash, his next effort after Whiplash. And having seen and really admired Whiplash, I had no idea what La La Land was. Still kind of don't, but still, just the goodwill that Whiplash bought for me with Damien Chazelle has me very like instantly like, okay, I'll go see that. I'll go see what he does next, because he is a really really talented filmmaker. So having seen the trailer for La La Land, holy crap, it looks freaking beautiful.
It does.
Just the way that the shots that were selected for the trailer, just the way that they're composed, the composition of it, and just like the color, it's so vibrant, and it looks so good. It looks so ridiculously good.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So I don't really have much else to say about it. I really like Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, and it's exciting to see them work together again. I never saw, was it Gangster Squad?
Yeah.
Yeah, never saw that, but
those two just have incredible chemistry.
They really do.
Together. It's like they're dating in real life.
Yeah.
Are they? I don't know. I honestly have no idea. Yeah. I don't give a shit. But that's how it feels when you see them in everything.
Yeah, and I don't know why I went to Gangster Squad for that rather than anything. Well, I guess
Crazy Stupid Love, which was a surprisingly good movie, and it had a lot of depth to it. I'm really excited for La La Land, which I hadn't even heard of until earlier today. But we watched the trailer, and I'm a sucker for a musical. Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone are very, very charismatic and very charismatic together. So that's just a great cocktail for awesome acting and great storytelling. And what's the director's name?
Damien Chazelle.
Damien Chazelle. Couldn't even remember his name, but Whiplash is a visionary movie and a one-of-a-kind movie. And I rewatched it about 4 or 5 months ago for only the second time, and it holds up really well. Nice. That movie, like I hope professors teach that in film school in the future. That's how good that movie is. It's just so unique, and it all came from that director's mind. And I'm like you, I'll go see whatever he does. So I'm looking forward to La La Land as well.
Yep, super excited. So, Tiny, why don't you, let's see. Hang on, I got this.
Oh, God.
Why don't you tell us a Star Wars story for your last one? Your last Rogue One.
Oh, God damn it. Well, Rogue One is obviously my most anticipated movie.
Oh, okay, so it's on the list.
For the rest of 2016. I left it off the list because it's obvious.
Interesting.
It's obvious. I mean, it's Rogue One. It's there's more Darth Vader. That's all you have to say.
And I mean, you even put on your list an honorable mention, and it's not even on there. It's weird. It's interesting.
Because it's like, it's Star Wars. It's untouchable. So it's just like, you already know. Like, it goes without saying that that's my number one most anticipated movie of the year.
Okay, interesting. I'm just saying it's interesting.
So next on the list for me is coming out in December is the movie Passengers, directed by Morton Tildum, written by John Spates, starring J. Laws and Chris Pratt. Also Michael Sheen. Big fan of Michael Sheen. Lawrence Fishburne. Yeah, cool cast. I think this movie's got a lot of buzz because it has like two of the hottest people in the world in it.
Right.
So, duh.
And hot, both like, buzzworthy, and just they're both the like most freaking attractive people on the planet.
Yeah, literally and figuratively.
Yes,
I agree. But I mean, for me, it's sci-fi, and it's cool sci-fi. The movie's about a spacecraft that's traveling to some like distant planet, and like the people are basically then like cryosleep, and there's some kind of like problem, and it wakes some of the people up like decades before they're supposed to arrive. That's a cool environment for a story. I think it's been done before, but I don't know if it's been done remarkably well in a movie yet. So I'm looking forward to. I'm just looking forward to all the different variables involved in this movie that make it a good environment for a really cool movie. So I think it's going to be good, and there's tons of buzz around it, which isn't always the best thing. But it's probably going to be pretty cool. There's no trailers for it yet or anything.
Right. There's some images, but
yeah.
Like, just, I'm so excited.
She's purty.
She's so pretty. He's so handsome. I don't know why I said it like that.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
So yeah, Passengers in December. Should be a good one.
Mm-hmm. And so, okay. Do you want to mention your honorable mention?
Yeah. There probably could be more honorable mentions, but I wanted to bring up Snowden. I'm very interested in that story. I think it's just a fascinating exploration of what is what's a moral thing or what makes someone a criminal, and it's just an interesting story in and of itself, and I'm curious to see how all those themes will tie into a motion picture. However, it's an Oliver Stone movie,
right?
And for me, he's just very hit or miss. I think sometimes he's just fantastic, and other times we get natural born killers in other weird ass movies. I've
still never seen that.
Yeah, he's just up and down. I mean, he's just a goofy filmmaker, and sometimes he's really good, sometimes he's not. And so I just never know what I'm going to get. Love the casting choice, amazing. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Jiggle for the lead character as Edward Snowden. Perfect choice in my book. I'm excited for that. So I'm probably going to see it in theaters, but I'm not going to commit to it.
Okay.
Again, Oliver Stone, you never know. So
nice.
We'll see.
For my honorable mention, I'll kind of throw this out. I'm not that excited for it per se, but The Magnificent Seven.
Okay.
It's it's a movie that like I said, I'm not that eager for it, but I'm curious to see how it'll perform. Just judging from I don't know. So we just had, and this isn't really comparable, but we just had Ben-Hur just flop tremendously at the box office.
Yeah.
So, and obviously that's not indicative of, people's aversion to remakes or anything, but I kind of feel like the amount of press that Magnificent Seven has been getting, or at least the promotional aspect of the advertising, isn't quite that, like, there's not that much of an awareness of it that I can tell so far. Like a trailer has been released, but I don't see people like talking about it or anticipating it that much. Maybe I'm wrong, but what I'm curious about is I wonder if Chris Pratt's star power can draw in an audience for it, and I wonder if how it'll perform. That's my curious.
And Denzel Washington too. I mean,
and Denzel.
He's Denzel. He's Zell, bruh.
Right.
And I'm a little lukewarm on that too. At least when they announced it, I was like, really? This is like the fourth time they're making this story,
right?
And the original couple first times they did it hold up really well. Seven Samurai and the Magnificent Seven from the 60s. Right. Those are both tremendous movies.
Ditto with A Bug's Life.
Nice. So yeah, those are great, and I just don't know why it does not need to be remade. I'll put it that way.
I agree.
But I see the trailer and it looks pretty darn cool.
It looks fun. It looks fun.
It looks like a fun old shoot 'em up Western cool movie.
Right. Yep.
So we'll see.
Yep. So all right, so that does it for the topic, but you know what? I'm going to kind of talk about some of the stuff that was in the Facebook group.
Okay.
Once again, you can join the Facebook group by clicking the link in the show notes and by searching for Obsessive Viewer Podcast on groups on Facebook. And I'm stalling because I'm trying to bring up the thing. Okay, so I posted a poll asking for people's most anticipated movies. For some reason, I didn't realize that you could vote multiple times in a poll like this. So a lot of people voted multiple times, which is great. I personally voted for Blair Witch, Doctor Strange, Manchester by the Sea, and Passengers. And, I'll throw in one for Birth of a Nation too. Anyway, so I posted the poll, and the runaway winner overall was this movie called Rogue One.
What's it called?
Rogue One, A Star Wars Story.
Oh, that's that new Star Wars movie.
It is.
Huh.
It is.
Darth Vader.
It sure is. I almost did not include Rogue One in it just to troll everybody.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because the next one, the second one, number 2, was Blair Witch, and tied for second with that was Doctor Strange. So some of the comments are, Tony Troxel said, Rogue One, hands down. Also curious about Doctor Strange, though I've never been a huge fan of the character. The Magnificent Seven, though I've never seen the original, also looks interesting. And Matt and Draco replied that it basically echoes his thoughts. And then frequent guest Fecus said, it's hard for me to not pick Bridget Jones's Baby. Which led to an interesting comment chain that is going to haunt my dreams. Matt and Draco said, what if Bridget Jones had a TMNT crossover? And then Tony Troxel said, what if Zack Snyder directed a Bridget Jones movie? And so that made me reply with, first of all, Fecus said that those two suggestions would equal the greatest movie of all time. And I said, I just have a mental image of Renee Zellweger giving birth in slow motion in a really drab and dreary room. Thank you, guys. So, yeah. So, anyway, and then also Paul Elliott replied with it and said that just to be different, I'll say Magnificent Seven, but I'm really looking forward to it. Cool. And he said that he's interested in the Denzel Pratt dynamic.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And also, while we were recording, this is breaking news, he also tweeted and said, just rewatched the Injury ep of The Office, classic episode.
Nice.
Kind of apropos nothing, but absolutely. That cold open for that is freaking legendary.
So brilliant.
Like, just the comedic timing is just so perfect for that.
Yes.
So anyway, so yeah, once again, check out the Facebook group and join the conversation. That sounds so hokey and lame when I say it like that, but I'm going to try that again.
It's a lot cooler than that.
Yeah. Join the Facebook group and join the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like we're a branch of the military.
It is.
We're not.
No.
Really, really not.
Yeah, I just had the Ivan et Niaj thing from Simpsons in my head. The subliminal messaging to have people join the Navy.
Yeah.
Anyway. I love The Simpsons. So, okay, so that does it for our fall 2016 movie preview topic episode. Before we get to Potpourri, here is a radio promo for Shocktober in Irvington, which once again, tickets are on sale for now. We're going to be giving away DVDs, Blu-rays, gift cards to Irvington businesses. We're going to have interviews with the filmmakers. We're going to be giving away a signed prop from one of the films, signed by the cast and crew. And it's going to be a lot of fun. All the money is going straight to the Irvington Historical Society. So even if you can't make it and want to help out, you can still donate to it by going to the link on shocktoberinirvington.com. So anyway, here is the promo courtesy of J.P. Leck, whose film The Roman will be premiering on October 14th, 2016 at the Irving Theater.
Tickets are on sale now for the third annual Shocktober in Irvington, presented by the Obsessive Viewer podcast. Join the hosts of the Obsessive Viewer on October 14th, 2016 at the Irving Theater for a one-night event screening of short horror films, including the premiere screenings of J.P. Leck's The Roman, the latest entry in his cross-mediumed Elsewhere World universe, as well as the latest slasher from Snapshot Productions and Billy and Brandon Watch Movies. All of this and so much more. Come celebrate the horror genre in the historic Irvington area and get a chance to meet the filmmakers with live interviews after each screening. You can also win DVDs, Blu-rays, and gift cards to Irvington businesses. Tickets are on sale now at shocktoberinirvington.com. All proceeds will go directly to the Irvington Historical Society. And we will see you at the Irving Theater on October 14th. That is, if you dare.
All right, Tiny, are you ready for Potpourri?
I am ready.
Great. All right. So for first-time listeners, Potpourri is the section of the podcast where we kind of wind down each episode with a short segment about things that we're watching or things that we've watched or looking forward to, what have you, just recently. So I have two things. Tiny, you have one thing?
Correct.
All right. So we'll go ahead and I'll get us kicked off. So I haven't had a lot of time to watch a lot of stuff recently. But what I did have time for is I've seen ads are you aware of Seeso?
No, not at all.
Okay, great. So Seeso is an NBC sanctioned app that is a streaming service for $3.99 a month that gives you access to every single episode of Saturday Night Live.
Oh.
41 years
Jeez.
of Saturday Night Live. Every single episode and movie of Monty Python. So Monty Python's Family Circus, every movie. They also have the documentary that I saw at Heartland Film Festival last year. The Monty Python, I can't remember what it's called. Why can't I remember what it's called? Hang on. So anyway, it's The Meaning of Live. That's what it was.
Okay.
Monty Python and The Meaning of Live. It was a documentary about their final stage performance, or their final live performance before they, call it quits for live performing. So anyway, they have all that. They have tons of or they have some original shows. There's Jonah Ray has a show called Jonah Ray's Hidden America. I think it's a travel show, but it's all comedy. It's a comedy streaming app of curated comedy content, essentially. So I went ahead and looked into it. Also, Dan Harmon has a show on it, an animated show called Harmon Quest. I haven't been able to check that out, but spoiler alert, I went ahead and did a free trial for it.
Nice.
So there are several ways you can get access to Seeso. It's Seeso, by the way. Seeso. You can get on, you can either subscribe to it via Google Play, iTunes, oddly enough, or the App Store, apparently. And then you can also have it as an add-on on Amazon Prime. So I went ahead and got it on Google Play, and it's kind of unique because I haven't had this situation come up where, you can subscribe to it via Google Play using like your Google Play wallet or account or whatever. So I'm going to kind of struggle with how I'm going to present this because, and by the way, it also has the latest like Tonight Show and Late Night with Seth Meyers content as well. So as much as I admire, and I do admire, like it also has everything from Kids in the Hall, like just classic comedy that's really like the content is so amazing and really, really like something that I could find myself getting lost in for hours. Just binging a ton of stuff.
It's like the stuff of legend, like literally comedy
totally.
legend. I mean, Monty Python and SNL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely. Faulty Towers is on there.
Wow.
Yeah. So the content is sound. They have amazing content. The problem I have with it, and it's kind of a big problem. First of all, if you go on Google Play, you can get a 30-day free trial, which is amazing. And for the amount of content, there is, I mean, $3.99 is not a bad deal at all.
Right.
And so I love that. I love it for that. However, the app that I'm using on Google Play, and granted, this isn't, I have no idea how it is on iOS. I have no idea how it is on, Amazon Prime, but like, the more I use the app, the more I'm so convinced that I should have just gotten an extension or gotten an add-on on my Amazon Prime so I could just play it on my PlayStation, because the app is the most, user unfriendly thing I've seen. Like, it's such a pain. So, okay, when I was trying to think of the title for Monty Python and the Meaning of Live, I was loading up the app on my phone, and they have the option to log in with Facebook or Twitter. So you would think like, oh, okay, that's great. You can just sign in instantly and be fine. Every single time I open this damn app, I need to input my Facebook credentials, my login information. It doesn't save it. It doesn't just immediately come back to it.
That is weak.
It's so aggravating. And another thing that I like in theory about it is that they have a playlist feature. That's kind of like a Netflix queue thing kind of thing, but it's not separated by by titles. So like I don't have like SNL in the as the first one, and then Monty Python's Family Circus as the next one. It's like you can put individual episodes. So you can sit there and do like, okay, I'll watch one episode of SNL, then after that, one episode of Family Circus or Flying Circus, one episode of the IT Crowd, and an episode of Harmon Quest, and then that's my night.
Right.
And just have it autoplay. But the problem is, like, sometimes, like, I opened it at one point and it just, for some reason, it had clips from Seth Meyers on it, in the playlist. And, like, it's really frustrating because, like, they are so, like, they have a gold mine here. Like, it's really good. Like, okay, well, the movie selection isn't that great. Like, they don't have very many movies, but for the amount of content that they do have, it's really satisfying. They have a lot of stand-up stuff. And like I said, even if they don't have that many movies, they have every Monty Python movie.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, $4 for everything Monty Python is great for me.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That's perfect. So yeah, and like you can't, like in the Google Play app, if I hit the back button on my phone, like it just prompts me to click it twice to exit out of the app. I can't go back to like the home page or anything. And then like I was streaming it to my Chromecast, and anything I did on the app just caused the Chromecast to stop casting it. And it was really, really temperamental and really disappointing to me. But I think once my free trial expires with Google Play, I'm going to unsubscribe from it on Google Play, and I think I'm going to get the 7-day trial and then subscribe to it on Amazon Prime, so I can use the Amazon interface to get all the stuff. Because, like I said, just the amount of content on it is just so amazing, and for that price point, you can't really go wrong. It's really good, and yeah. So I recommend checking it out, but don't check it out on like Amazon Prime or something.
Mm-hmm.
Be wary of how you get it, because the app is not what it should be at this point.
Interesting.
Yep, and that's called Seeso, and it's available pretty much the internet.
Cool.
Yep, and it's always fun to kind of evaluate or get and evaluate new streaming services to me. So I don't know. I think maybe in October I might try like one of the horror streaming services like Shudder or whatever. But cool. I don't know. We'll see.
Nice.
So Tiny, what do you got for Potpourri?
For Potpourri, first I wanted to bring up or preview what I plan to bring up in the next couple weeks. Mm-hmm. I think next week I'd like to bring up Discovery Channel's short series that they had this Labor Day weekend, Harley and the Davidsons. I don't know if anyone's heard of that, but it's essentially the story of how Harley Davidson got start.
Oh, nice.
It's a dramatization. It's a 3-part series, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday night of Labor Day. So I started watching it. It's cool. I'm looking forward to talking about that.
Sweet.
And then I'm also going to watch Donald Glover's new show, Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
On FX.
The entire first episode is now on YouTube.
Nice.
Yep.
That's cool. I've got it recorded on the DVR, so I'm probably going to start watching that, and I'll probably wait till the season's over to mention that one. So I'm really looking forward to it. Love everything that Donald Glover does.
Me too.
And so, have I finished talking about The Night Of yet? I don't think I have.
No, you haven't. You mentioned it, and it had like 4 episodes left. I don't know.
I'll bring that up too. And then lastly, The Night Of. I finished watching it, and I will be bringing that up soon for Potpourri.
Sweet.
But today I am bringing up Batman: The Killing Joke, which is an animated film that was released this year in 2016. This is a long anticipated Batman story that Batman fans have been looking forward to for a long time. It's difficult to adapt, so I think Warner Brothers and the creative types involved with Batman have been almost avoiding it for years. And so I think a lot of diehard Batman fans are really excited that someone finally made this movie. The Killing Joke is a graphic novel, if you will, from the 80s, written by Alan Moore of Watchmen fame. And this book came out at a time when Batman had a huge resurgence with The Dark Knight and the Frank Miller books that Frank Miller wrote for Batman. a lot of really good Batman stories came around in the 80s, and Batman became hugely popular for a whole nother generation. And The Killing Joke was instrumental in that. It was written in 1985, and to this day, it's one of the most famous Batman books that's ever been written. Mm-hmm. I don't want to spoil any of it, but I'll tell you the reason why it's so popular is because it gives a backstory to the Joker.
Right.
Which has never happened before. He's always been a character that's shrouded in mystery. You don't even know what the guy's name is. He has no identity, and he's just this rogue madman that almost seems enigmatic and inhuman, and like he came from a whole other universe. Like he just has that interesting quality to him while still being oddly human. Mm-hmm. So that's why the Joker's so intriguing, and people have always thirsted for knowledge about the Joker, and you get a really cool tidbit of that with this book. And so I think that's why the book is so famous. I avoided it for a long time because I was like, I don't really know much about Batman. I have no reason to get involved, but it was on sale on Amazon for like $7. So I was like, screw it. And I just bought it and read it. And it's really good. It's very intriguing. I'm sure a lot of diehard Batman fans are kind of dissatisfied with it because maybe they want the mystery that surrounds the Joker. They don't want to know who he is or where he comes from. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when you get the answers to your questions, it's very dissatisfying, or the character loses its luster as a result of that. Mm-hmm. So maybe some fans don't like it. I'm not really sure. I think I'm kind of in the middle. I think it was, now that I know the genesis of the Joker, he's a little bit less mysterious, but it also painted it in such a fascinating way that it's very tragic and just a really, really rich story. And so I ultimately love the book. The artwork is just remarkable. I really, especially the version I read is the deluxe version, and there's some of it's told in black and white, and they added these flashes of color to it that are very cool, that I really enjoyed. And there's really cool dialogue, in such a medium that's so based in visual cues. There's very cool dialogue in this story. Some iconic lines in this story. So, that's all about the book. And so, of course, I was intrigued to watch the movie. They got a lot of the cast back from the animated, Batman show, which I was a huge fan of as a kid. I've watched some of it as an adult. I plan to run through the whole series, but it's kind of been put on the back burner. But Kevin Conroy voicing Batman and Bruce Wayne is one of my favorite Batmans. I mean, he's just awesome, and I love what he brings to that character. Mark Hamill playing the Joker, he's one of the best Jokers also. I'm a big fan of his. Mm-hmm. Tara Strong, she's a famous voice actress. I think she's done some, like, My Little Pony and some other Powderpuff Girls. Am I making that up? I don't know.
I don't remember.
I don't know. She's a famous voice actress. Right. She's done a ton of voice acting. She plays Barbara Gordon in this, and then Ray Wise is the commissioner, also reprising his role. John DiMaggio, one of the most famous voice actors out there. So a really, really good cast for this movie. I was excited about that in and of itself. But as far as my thoughts on the movie, they made some really bold choices that I wasn't a fan of.
Really?
The book opens with this really remarkable scene, and it's an iconic scene. I had heard about it, even though I had never read the book for years. I had heard about how great it is and how it's some of the best dialogue between these two characters, and they moved that to like a third of the way into the movie. Huh. And it really affected the strong opening of this story. Mm-hmm. And it didn't pull the audience in the way the book does right off the bat. They left it in, and they were very true to that scene that was in the book, but it just didn't have the punch that it did in the book because it wasn't right off the bat. It literally just hit you right in the face, that opening scene, and to move it to where they did was just, I think, a poor choice. That the decision to have like this prologue that really, I just really didn't care for the creative license they took with it in that direction. It just wasn't very good. Okay. But once they get down to the meat of the true story of The Killing Joke, they did a really great adaptation. They were true to a lot of the frames that are famous in the book. Again, I'm trying to do all this without spoiling it because I really want people to see it and I want people to read the book because it's iconic. That's all. That's the best word to describe it. It's iconic. I'm really glad how true they were to the book after that silly prologue. I'd probably give it like a maybe like a 7 out of 10, like right around there. I almost want to give it a 6 or 6.5 because of the decisions they made. But at the end of the day, it was a fairly true adaptation, and they were true to the characters. They appeal to so many different generations of Batman fans. Like, I'm a Batman fan because of the animated series and nothing else. But there are so many other people who just love Batman in the 80s and they'd love to read these books, and some purists who've been fans for 50 years. You know, there's so many different levels to appeal to in this movie. And I think they did a pretty decent job with that. I just wish they would have made some different choices. Okay. But I recommend seeing it. It's you can watch it now on Amazon for $4.
Okay.
Really not a bad price.
Yeah, that's not bad.
It's a little bit over an hour. I would have rather had them leave that prologue out and make it 45 minutes.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I think they did a pretty good job, and it's cool to see it all come to life. And it's a very chilling story what occurs during this book, and to see it all in action was pretty chilling. It tapped into some cool stuff. So
nice.
I do recommend it. But I wish they would have done some things differently.
Cool. Yep. I remember that Fecus loaned me his copy of The Killing Joke, the book, and I read it, and I remember reading it and thinking it was pretty good. I wasn't like blown away by it. I should probably read it again to really see how I feel about it. But yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
Yep.
So it sounds like you thought it was just solid.
It was solid. Yeah, it was solid.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and round us out. Don't Breathe, Tiny.
Oh, really? You saw that?
I did. Yeah. I was trying to make a joke like I was telling you not. Anyway, so I watched Don't Breathe. It's a horror thriller from the director of the Evil Dead remake, Fede Alvarez. The movie is, here's a plot synopsis, essentially. Hoping to walk away with a massive fortune, a trio of thieves break into the house of a blind man who isn't as helpless as he seems. And, this movie was pretty okay. I was pretty interested in it. Well, okay, so I went in not really expecting that much. I just kind of thought, like, A, the trailer gives away a lot, but, B, I thought, this seems like a pretty okay premise, and maybe it would be like this year's like surprise horror movie that I don't see coming that I could enjoy. While it didn't really live up to a big horror icon element, or it's not like a genre defining movie by any stretch, it was still pretty okay. The kind of conceit of it is that Stephen Lang is this blind man that it kind of eventually turns into kind of a predator when he goes after these thieves in the house. So it's kind of this interesting reversal that you kind of feel like, okay, these are kids getting into this house to steal crap from this guy. So you can kind of have this kind of ambiguous morality thing where, like, okay, well, they're willfully breaking into this guy's house and he's defending himself, so maybe it's, you don't really know who to root for.
Yeah.
And the movie kind of goes out of its way to make the people, not out of its way. I feel like the movie tries to make the trio of thieves really sympathetic, and then kind of just does not succeed at that at all. One of them is this really, really obnoxious guy, who I kind of chuckled out loud because I didn't realize what his name was in the movie. He's kind of this thuggish, like, really, outspoken guy who's kind of giving a lot of crap to the other male lead in the movie, but his name is Money, and that just bugged me a little bit.
Oh boy.
I was like, okay. So anyway, so he's obnoxious. You don't really see, like, there's not really much of an investment in him. So when you have three characters that, they're in a situation where that someone is basically hunting them down in a house that they can't escape from, you want to feel suspense and an emotional connection with them, and I just didn't feel that much of an emotional connection with any of them.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and the other two are played by Jane Levy and Dylan Minnette, he was in Goosebumps, and he was in season 6 of Lost.
Wow.
So anyway, yeah, that's where I know him from.
Okay.
Anyway, and then Jane Levy, I haven't seen her in anything. She was fine. It was kind of a cliched character thing. The whole premise is that they're trying to get the money out of this guy's house so that they can leave Detroit and leave their troubled, like, home lives and stuff, for a better life. And it just seems more like instead of fleshing out that motivation, it just seemed more like okay, here's why they need the money, here's why they're doing this, let's get to the gruesome action elements and suspense. Which there are some elements in the movie that are effective and effectively thrilling. There are some interesting turns in the narrative that I didn't see coming, and it's been talked about a lot, and I won't spoil it or anything, but there is a surprise element to the story that I still don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah.
It's kind of really over the top, but it's also really unsettling, and it kind of stuck with me a little bit. However, the motivation for why this is a thing in the movie and why this thing is happening was, like, really, really weak and really not to my liking. So it's kind of a mixed bag there, and I don't know. And by the end of the movie, I mean, it's a short movie. It's only an hour and 28 minutes. So by the end of it, I didn't feel like I wasted time, or I didn't feel like there was anything. I didn't feel like any of the negative things I thought of it, which wasn't that much, but I didn't think that any of the negativity that I felt about the movie or elements of the movie didn't detract from the entire movie as a whole. I still enjoyed myself and thought that it was a pretty interesting horror movie. If not, maybe just a little disappointing, but overall pretty okay.
Cool.
Yep. And so I think that's going to just about do it for this week's episode. Is that right, Tiny?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, in that case, do you have any idea what we're going to be reviewing or talking about next week?
No idea.
I have no idea either.
Stranger Things?
I have no idea either. I really do need to sit down and watch Stranger Things.
Yeah.
I've had no time.
Gotcha.
And and I really want to. I really, really want to. So, I don't know. I'll sit down and watch it soon, and we will have a bonus review. I promise that.
Nice.
We will have a bonus review. Maybe we'll have Fecus on for it too if he wants. I don't know.
Okay.
But anyway, he'll let us know. So anyway, yeah, don't know what we're doing next week. We'll figure something out. I know Sully comes out this weekend. I don't know if you'd want to review that.
I don't know if I'm gonna have time to go to the theater.
Yeah, me neither, actually. Which sucks because I haven't been to the theater in a while. I might go tomorrow.
Yeah.
But also I have, I don't know, other responsibilities, anthology, all that. So anyway,
Right.
So stay tuned next week for whatever we do next week. And speaking of anthology, if you want to check it out, anthologypod.com, my solo side project podcast where I review the Twilight Zone episode by episode. And I'm also in the middle of I'm starting a bonus review series on Black Mirror. So
Awesome.
check that out at anthologypod.com. And should we wrap it up, Tiny?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Both
And-
from Buzz standpoint and just
Right.
freaking beautiful people.
They really are.
Like I know that Chris Pratt is married to Anna Faris, but I want him and that sounds terrible.
Well.
I want him and Jennifer Lawrence to have a baby.
Oh, yeah.
But
I wanna watch
I'm
it.
gonna cut that out. Holy shit, that sounds terrible. hell. I want to watch Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence make a baby. That's so dumb.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. I'm mentally putting the...
Thank you for listening to The Obsessive Viewer, presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. You can find more of our episodes at ovpodcast.com, and you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, or your preferred podcast app. The Obsessive Viewer's theme song is An Eclipse of Events and is provided by Loudlike from their EP Mistakes We Must Make. You can find that and more great music from them on iTunes, and like their Facebook page at facebook.com/loudlikemusic. Any and all feedback on the podcast is encouraged. You can email the hosts individually at Matt, Tiny, or Mike at ObsessiveViewer.com, or send an email to the podcast in general at podcast@ObsessiveViewer.com. Check out the Obsessive Viewer blog at ObsessiveViewer.com, where we post movie and TV reviews and the occasional editorial about the business of entertainment. You can also like us on Facebook at facebook.com/TheObsessiveViewer and follow us on Twitter at ObsessiveViewer, at ObsessiveTiny, and at IamMikeWhite. If you want more obsessive content in your life, check out our sister site, ObsessiveBookNerd.com, for book reviews, author spotlights, and a general celebration of reading. Finally, if you're philosophically curious, check out Tiny's side project podcast, The Secular Perspective, which explores the concepts of faith, religion, and existence from the perspective of secular hosts. You can find that at thesecularperspective.com and subscribe to the podcast on the podcatcher of your choice. Again, thank you so much for listening. We love you. Be excellent to each other.